Here in Virtual Worlds, we build everything based on a prim or primitive system. This includes the cube, the prism, the pyramid, tetrahedron, the cylinder, the hemicylinder, the cone, the hemicone, the sphere, the hemisphere, the torus, the tube, and lastly, the ring. So once we have that prim or primitive, what can we do with it? Well, fortunately, we have the ability, by going to the Object tab in our screen, to manipulate the object in a number of different ways. We can rotate it to look at it better. We can do it on 3 different axes, the X, Y, and Z axis. Rotate it in the X, rotate it in the Y, or rotate it in the Z as you see fit. So put it at whatever angle you find it best to work with, or for whatever object you may be building. You can also stretch the object. Let's get it back to 0 again. The most basic way to do so is to simply grab these little colored squares, which are again the Z, Y, and X axes, and pull, click and drag, and you make the object larger or smaller. A simpler way, though, may be to go to the Object tab and do it numerically. When I build, I like to do so in specific locations because I tend to make objects of many primitives. So I put it in a nice centered place, in this case 455 by 275, so that if I want to put another object on top of it, I can do so easily. I can take the rotation down by using the rotation numbers and bring it back to 0, 0, 0. And then, using the X, Y, and Z size numbers, take it to a more accurate sizing. In this case, 2.5 meters by 2.5 meters by 1.5. But maybe that's not what I wanted. Maybe it was more 3 by 2 by 0.5. And notice the Z being the up and down axis. I could do this over and over again to many different primitives and do anything I wish to it. But in addition to that, I could change it from a box to a cylinder to a sphere to any one of the objects that you had seen earlier. I could also cut a path within the object, take away a portion of it, using the path cut. And if we rotate that object, you can see more clearly what we've done. Once again, I'm going to use the numbers to make it a little more accurate. Make sure you're actually choosing the object when you do so. Take it to 90 degrees, there we go. I can also hollow out the object. I'll use this for a number of things. Then I can twist in many different directions. This can make some very odd looking objects. And of course, going back to 0 using the numbers. Twist it in the other direction. Both positive and negative numbers can be used. So you're twisting in 2 different ways. And when in doubt, go back to the math, change it to 0. Taper will allow me to slant the object in various ways. Taper it from back to front or front to back using negative numbers. And in 2 different axes as well. Once I find what I want there, I have the ability to shear or slice an object. In this case, shear, both positive and negative numbers again. Which allows me further ways to manipulate the object. And slice, which lets me take out slices or sections of it as well. I could have done that just as easily by changing the X parameter. So what can we build? Anything we can dream. going to start with the basic box shape first and stretch that out to a more usable size. I think, let's say 10 meters by 0.2, because I'm building a wall, by 10. Half of it's underground, so I'm going to have to use the red arrow, the z-axis, to drag it up. And when I look at it, I'm not too happy with that, so I'm going to go a little larger, I think. Let's say 20 meters in the x-axis. That's better. Now we have a wall. By holding down the Shift key, while I grab the green arrow, I can click and drag a copy of what I had just made. Then I can click a third copy. Rotate that copy, and I want it at exactly 270 degrees, so I'm going to use the numbers for that. Well, maybe 90 is better. There we go, 90 degrees. And push it back. Meant to push it back. I ended up lifting it up. Not a problem. I can use Control Z to undo, just like you do in any Microsoft application. And then move out my side walls to match the size of the wall I made there, the back wall. Grab that back wall. Did it again. Messed up. Well, instead of zeroing it, this time I'm just going to hit the delete key and it's gone. Hold down Shift, grab the red arrow, and drag it forward. And we have now made a big old box. By shifting the size of this box, however, the front wall of the box, to something smaller, again, hold down Shift and drag on the green arrow this time, left to right. I have two pieces in the front. I'm going to open them up a little, and we have space for a door. But of course there's no top on it, so I'm going to make yet another piece, line it up with the first one, stretch it to fit so that it fills that hole, and then grab the bottom, or the Z part, and lift it up, and now I have a door space. Not finished yet though, every house needs a roof. So I'm going to take that back wall again, another copy, rotate it so that it's flat. In this case, setting it to a nice 90-degree angle. Drag it forward so it matches up to the front. Lift it up so it matches the top. You notice it's only half the size, so I'm going to stretch it again and pull it back. And we've just made a most basic house. It doesn't look like much of a house yet. I'm going to have to do something about that, but the basic idea is there. I'm going to look around and see if there's anything I don't like. I'm not too thrilled with that back wall. It should be back a little bit. There we go. And continue to zoom around and have a better look at just what I've built. And we have a most basic, and I do mean very basic, home. So what do we do with our box? It doesn't look a thing like a house. Now we're going to do something called texture. We go back into Edit and pick the Texture tab, and you'll see a white square there, or a blank square, where the texture would be. Now I know I want to use my Brick City textures. You'll be able to get many here in Weave Worlds. We provide a lot of different texture types, including this one. And I'm going to choose the one called Brick City 1 with one window. Select that texture as it comes in. It takes a little while to upload. And I think I like that, so I'm going to use the same thing on the other side. So again, I'm going to pick the blank square. It may be plywood on your viewer, it kind of depends, and say Brick City again. Find the one window version and choose that. Now I'm pretty happy with that, so I'm going to go to the back and apply the same texture, sort of. Instead of applying exactly the same texture, though, I'm going to use a slightly different version of it, because some of these textures come in what we call texture packs, which are meant to be worked together. Instead of Brick City 1 with one window, I'm going to pick Brick C in this case, to find it. And let's see, what do we have here to choose from? I have wall 3, I have wall 2. I don't want those. We're going to stay with Brick City 1, but this time with 2 alpha windows. Alpha simply means you can actually see through them. So I have a slightly different design on the back than I do on the front and on the sides. Now those 3 panels in the front we created have to be dealt with. So I'm going to choose both of the front panels, the full-size ones. Go again into the Brick City idea and find the same one. Yeah, that's it. And select. Now both the front panels have the windows, and look much like the side panels do. But what about that little space in between? Well, it will look kind of silly with a window off to the side there. So we're going to pick a slightly different texture for that. We'll go ahead and select that small panel above the door. Once again, go into Brick City because we want to use the same package. And I'm going to use the same part, Brick City 1, but in this case, the plain version, Brick City 1 Wall 1, because it's just the bricks. And that's almost right. I see a little bit of a problem, though. You'll notice there's that bar where the stone blocks go. How do I deal with that? Well, fortunately, I can work with that as well by simply manipulating the texture up or down. Unfortunately, the camera angle isn't quite right. Here we go, fix that. But as you see, it's not quite right. It's too small because the size of the prim, and we've applied that texture as scale 1:1, as the other ones are, so it comes out a lot smaller. Can't use that. Well, actually, we can. Because fortunately, we can manipulate that scale, vertically or horizontally, to be 0.4 in this case. Or go the other direction. Using the arrows till it looks about right. Well, it keeps going away, so what do? Fortunately, we also have an offset that allows us to offset the texture up and down to line up correctly until we get it pretty much where we want it. In this case, down, click, 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 and perfect. And we have the texture just as we want it. So are we done? Well, not quite. I see a couple of problems. First of all, our roof is still just a plain slab, and we don't have a floor. So I'm going to take that roof, and again, holding down Shift and clicking on the blue arrow, the Z arrow, I'm going to drag down a copy of the floor down to the bottom, and now of the roof rather. Now we have a floor. What's the floor going to look like? Well, I'll just key in the word floor in my inventory search window, and it'll bring up all the various floors. I like that one, so I will select it. There, that's a lot better. Now I have a floor to my little house here. Boxy little house that we've made. But I still have the roof to deal with, so I'm going to go ahead up and look at that roof and put something on there, and I don't know what texture to use, so I'm just going to key in the word again, roof, this time, and see what roofs I have available, and I really like shingles, so we'll go with shingled roof. And there you have it, a shingled roof on our little house. So what we've done today is make the most basic house you can possibly make. It's just really a square. It doesn't have a door yet. I can add that later. But if I go into mouse look, which is your viewer, in your viewer, I could walk around inside my house, have a look-see at what I've built, and my avatar has a new home. A little one-room cabin that I can call my own, but it's nice and sturdy and made out of brick, so I'm really happy with it. This is the most basic of building skills. And that concludes Building 101, your most basic building skills. Of course, there's a lot more to it. We hope you come into Weave Worlds and give it a try yourself. This is the first of our series of videos on Building 101. Make sure to see the rest for the far more detailed and using other prims, connecting them, even sculpties, etc. So give us a look, and thanks a lot for watching.